Baby, we are back for an off-day show. Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche Podcast presented by Bet365. We've got AJ, we've got Big E, we've got Rudo coming to you live. Apologies for the construction noises in the background. That's life on an off day. The Avs are one of 7 teams in the West that have pretty much locked in a playoff spot. That makes 6 other teams to talk about, to compare them to, and they just played Minnesota, so I don't think we really have to rehash that, which leaves 5 teams to get into. We'll talk about all of them, how they compare. You can see the standings right there. Before we do jump into that, though, we do have kind of a good deal going on. Our boy AJ has been riding up a storm this season over on the DNVR.com, and you can get our current diehard membership for half price, just $36 right now. Officially, it's for NFL free agency, but we're going to call it the lead up to the playoff run for the NHL. All right, that's what we're calling this deal. Go get in, go get your great price on a diehard membership. Make sure you're reading all of AJ's amazing pieces that he's putting up there, and help support us. You also get a bunch of great deals, things like shirts and discounts at the bar, access to the Discord, and all sorts of other things you can see on screen there. So consider supporting us. It's a great time to do it right now, and you get a great deal. All right. So before we actually get into it, before we actually break anything down, you can see the Central Division standings there. Right now, today, before the trade deadline acquisitions all gel, before we really know what these teams look like come game 1 of the playoffs, who do you guys believe is the best team in the West?
I'll give it to you, AJ.
That's a tough one.
That's why it's the topic of the day.
I'm gonna say, assuming health,
Sure.
I'm gonna say Dallas.
Okay.
Because if Tyler Seguin and Miro Heiskanen are both back and healthy, I think that those are 2 huge arrows for the quiver that move the needle for me. The Heiskanen especially, because they're already really deep at forward, but you throw Seguin into that bunch and you're like, wow, that forward core rocks.
Yep.
And their defense with the top 3 of Lindell, Heiskanen, and Harley, that's really, really good. And then Ottinger, solid playoff goaltender in his career. We saw him go Super Saiyan a couple years ago. I just think it's a little more proven. That group has walked the walk, and they just added Mikko Rantanen, who we know is a wonderful playoff player. So I think right now it's an easy yes, because they've proven it, and the 2 teams in the Central Division that I think are the top competition in Winnipeg and Colorado, there are question marks at key positions around them. Colorado with Mackenzie Blackwood, and Winnipeg with their whole roster. So, that's where I give Dallas the bump right now.
I think it's a fair take.
Yeah, it's a fair take. No, I'm going to go for it. It's a fair take. You're right. It's well said. Now I'm going to throw a question back at you. Is it the team I think's coming out of the West? Who's the best team today in the West?
Today. Who's the best team today?
Okay, so not who's coming out of the West.
Correct.
Because
2
I got a
different
different
questions.
answer for that. For me, the best team today is AJ's going to hate me for it. Hold on, I'm gonna protect myself. Oh no, other way. I'm gonna protect myself. I'm gonna go Winnipeg. They have been dynamite. They've been dynamite all year. Hellebuck's he's got to be a Vezina I mean, some say he might be a Hart Trophy finalist. The back end's been good. They don't give up goals. It's been an easy, smooth transition from Bonus to Scott Arniel. As Arniel's been there with him for years, and we all know Arniel took over last year when Bonus stepped aside for for those reasons, health reasons, for a little bit. And their top guys are, Scheifele and those guys, and they just win. They win. I like their lineup. We all know how much I like Lowry. He down the middle there, he makes it different than the other guys that are there. Again, that's why I said, do you think who's coming out of the West or who's the best team today? There's a big difference. The Avs are coming out of the West. I said it. But who's the best team today? I do believe it's, Winnipeg, for all the reasons. They added a little bit of, turbojet time, whatever his name is there, Tanev. You know what I mean? If you like him or not, he just adds a little bit of depth. I'm not too sure what else they did. I know they added
Luke Shen.
Oh yeah, Luke Shen. Sorry, on D. Yeah. Okay. Again, minor deals, more depth deals, maybe not as crazy as Dallas and Colorado, name wise, but they're depth guys, right? I do believe there's a reason Winnipeg, forget about their playoff success, or non-success, but I do believe there's a reason for that. Like, they have guys that want to be there. I think Alabuck signed that extension, was it last year? Scheifele, and then we all know, like, Dubois of the world. When you have guys in the locker room that don't want to be there, it's tough. It sounded like Blake Wheeler was a little bit of, that way a little bit too. And again, he was a guy that was there a long time. It just seemed that it was a little bit of a problematic at the end. I'm not here to, peel his onion. I'm saying I do believe in that locker room to have guys that believe in themselves, believe in what they can do. No, you don't think so? And they want to be there. It seems like they want to be there. You know what I mean? So that's kind of why I got Winnipeg to answer Rudo's question as who's the best team today, not who's going to be coming out of the West, which I have a different answer.
What does it mean to peel a guy's onion?
Well, to do his, in court.
He's got layers. He's got layers, AJ.
You know what I mean? You're the writer. And then, by the way, I know Rudo talked about, the diehard pieces and everything, and AJ's writing. And he's learning, guys. Chat, he's learning. I've been working with him a little bit on his type of writing.
Can he write French yet?
Yeah, he's learning. He's learning on my type of writing, and my ability to put things on paper is really well documented. And I'm working with AJ, and he seems to be doing a good job right now. Like, he's getting praises.
I'm taken to the lessons.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Look, I think both of your answers are perfectly fair. Hellebuck is an elite goaltender, at least in the regular season. Winnipeg's home record is outrageously good. Dallas is a super talented team, especially with the acquisition of Mikko. My thing is, if you had asked a week ago, I'd have probably agreed. But you look at what they did at the deadline, you look at especially what Winnipeg did at the deadline, and you don't feel like they solved any of their problems. Winnipeg added a depth D? Okay, cool. You added a depth winger? Okay, cool. The Avs went out and added a 2C. Winnipeg didn't. Dallas, look, Mikko's a really good player. It's really hard to argue against going out and getting someone like that. But Dallas's problem was not the forward core, especially like AJ said, if they're healthy. Health also helps them on the defensive side, but their defense was their hole in their lineup, and they did nothing to address that.
Yeah, it's what should I address? Should I Dallas or Winnipeg first? Which one?
Whichever one struck your fancy.
Okay. So we'll start. God, I hate both of these franchises. the thing with the Jets, right, is and like I agree with Eric in that you look at what they've done this year. They've been really good. They lead the West in goals scored and goals allowed. Like, that's the perfect combination. But I will also say I am forever weary of teams that have had everything go right for them during a regular season.
Not much adversity.
Okay. And they had like one stretch after that 15-1 start where they were like, And they played like maybe a little sub 500 hockey for like maybe a month, and then they've been right back on top of it, right? But it makes me nervous when we look at playoff prognostication. Teams that have just sailed through everything. It's been so easy for them, right? But you look at, they have a sky high PDO right now. It is astronomical this year. That is a team that is waiting for it. Just waiting for some sort of a regression here. And it's not even like Washington has a team shooting percentage is going to crash down to earth really hard, and that's not hard to see coming. But once again, we're talking about Connor Hellebuyck was spectacular in the regular season last year and got shredded in the postseason. I'm not predicting that Connor Hellebuyck's going to have that kind of postseason problem this season, because I mean, come on, the Jets were great last year, and they hung on in a 7-6 wild game in game one. And then from there, the Avs smoked them. They have lost in the first round in 5 games in back-to-back years after great regular seasons.
And
I'm having a hard
bad.
time believing that they're in pole position out west. They're going to get a wild card team. They're not. They're going to end up with one of Minnesota or Calgary, Vancouver, whatever. And they're probably going to get the second wild card team, very likely to get the second wild card team, which is a team that would not make the postseason in a normal year because they're going to have like 90 points or something. So I think that Winnipeg is a round 2 team. I'm penciling them in for round 2 without even knowing that matchup. But you do look, the Jets went in they got that 2C last year with Sean Monahan. And it gave them Mark Scheifele, Sean Monahan, Adam Lowry down the middle. That's a really good 1-2-3. It didn't work out because they lost in 5 games. But it wasn't like Monahan didn't play well. It wasn't like Monahan wasn't a factor for them. This year, their 2C is Vlad Nemesnikov. All right? Let's go back pre-deadline. Let's say the Jets get Brock Nelson and the Avs do nothing, and it's still Casey Middlestat. Between those two, between Colorado, Dallas, and Winnipeg, which one of those teams' center depth would you have liked more? Colorado with McKinnon, Middlestat, and Drury, or Winnipeg with Scheifele, Nelson,
for sure,
and Lowry?
Yeah, you like McKinnon, right? More, but that 2 and 3C is silly.
A huge difference. And then Dallas just continues to be Dallas, where their top 9 is unassailable and wonderful.
Yeah.
But the world that we live in today, Colorado, they're 1, 2, 3.
They're best down the center for sure.
McKinnon, Nelson, and Charlie Coyle.
Yep. Hard to argue.
Winnipeg is going to have the benefit here because they're not going to have to go through both Dallas and Colorado. They're only going to have to deal with one. And if the Avs are coming out of the West, they're going to have to go through, very likely, both of those teams, both Winnipeg and Dallas. And then they're going to have to deal with either Edmonton or Vegas, or whatever weird nonsense might happen. I'm not banking on that. I think it'll be one of those two. So Colorado's going to have to beat 3 of those 4 teams if they're going to come out of the West. They will have earned it. That is a gauntlet. Winnipeg has the big advantage here in that they should have the easier first round. And
in
easier,
theory,
especially because it won't be Minnesota. Like, if it was Minnesota, I would say I'm not counting the Wild out of that with a healthy Kaprizov and Eriksson Ek. I would say, God, that is a team I do not want to put up with for a best of 7. But
I mean, the second wild card in the West this year is just noticeably weaker than everybody else.
It's like when the Caps got in last year and everybody was like, come on, do we even need this? Just give them the bye. This is a waste of time. And the Caps were not competitive in that series. So, if you look, are any of these teams scary to you? Calgary, Vancouver, St. Louis, or Utah?
No, none of them.
Come on. Winnipeg's big advantage here is they've had a great regular season and they're going to win the division.
I do want to get Eric's thoughts too, but first we do have to pay a few bills here. So let's jump over and do that before we really start digging into the more in-depth side of the Western matchups. Yep. I'm gonna sit here and wait. There we go. All right. We are, of course, all about taking care of your hygiene and feeling good, smelling good. I know it might not be pretty up here, but it smells good. I promise. Thanks to Mando. Make sure you're getting with Mando today to keep every aspect of yourself smelling fresh and clean. Go get it, whether it's your pits, your belly buttons, your balls, your butt cracks, your grundles, and more. Mando has you completely covered with scents geared towards men like Bourbon Leather, Clover Woods, Mount Fuji, or Pro Sport. Man, I can never say their scents right. It's like a tongue twister almost. You can get $5 off the starter pack with Mando today with code DNVR. You're going to want to get in on that deal. You can also get free shipping on the starter pack. It comes with 4 items, including both a solid stick and cream tube deodorant, and then 2 free products of your choice, like a mini bottle body wash or deodorant wipes. So choose what you want. Go get it with Mando. Make sure you're getting in on that starter pack. That $5 off deal with code DNVR equates to over 40% off the starter pack. You can get it at shopmando.com with the DNVR code. That's SHOPMANDO.com. And please support our show. Let them know we sent you over there and get that $5 off with code DNVR. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. Once you're smelling good, feeling right, make sure you're also looking good and can see with your eyeballs thanks to Shady Rays. Don't go blind staring at the sun. Get your sunglasses and get 35% off any pair of polarized sunglasses with code DNVR at shadyrays.com. They have hundreds of choices to choose from, different styles, different polarization colors, whatever it might be. They have a pair of sunglasses for you. Even if you're a blind person, like the majority of this podcast, they've got corrective sunglasses so you can actually get your prescription in your sunglasses too, thanks to Shady Rays. If you haven't jumped in with Shady Rays, you got to give them a try. They've been given 5 stars by over 300,000 people. That's a ridiculous number. And the coolest part is their return policy for the first 30 days after you get a pair of sunglasses. If you don't like them, you lose them or you break them, Shady Rays will replace them entirely for free. So go get with Shady Rays today. Again, shadyrays.com, and use that DNVR code for 35% off your next pair of sunglasses. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. I'll give you the floor to talk about a little bit of these 2 lineups as well compared to the Avs.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, for me, Winnipeg's been dynamite all year. Do I think they come out of the West? No, for all the reasons you guys just. I mean, we talked about the center depth. I don't believe that they have what off Dallas and Colorado have to offer. And I get question marks too, because you're right. They have been good regular season, and they seem to just not show up. Do I believe they come out of the first round? I'm with AJ. Yes, probably, because of the situation we're in, and more power to you because you're the best team in the West right now. That's the exercise we're doing. Then you should get the wild card, right? That's the way it is. That's why you play the regular season.
Yep.
But yeah, Dallas doesn't. I mean, they're a good team. I'm not as woo-woo gaga as, let's say, AJ or whoever is on their forwards. I'm okay with them. Do I think that there's Rudo's the one that really made me look at it the last few weeks about the right side of their D. It's really suspect.
It's bad. It's bad, man.
It's suspect. I never looked at it till, I mean, you just got to go on anywhere, any website, and you look at, the lineups, and then it kind of hits you once you look at it. You know what I mean? I'm a big Jade Onger fan, yes. So I do believe that Dallas and and Avalanche have a leg up, when it comes out to coming out of the West. But we all know that probably one of those two's gone by the first round, right? You know what I mean? So again, if things stay that way, one of those two's gone by the first round. So Winnipeg probably is thinking, you have to go through someone. They might have the easier path, and I hate to say that, easier maybe on the first round, but yes, it is a mammoth to get out of the West. It is. But you know what? Might as well go and get a tough series right off the bat, and it gives you wings, and I believe that's what's going to happen with the Avs. So
that's
where I'm at with those 3 teams.
There are 4 spots I want you guys to rank these teams at. And again, ranking today, we're not ranking about lack of playoff experience or things like that. Ranking today, goaltending. I think this one's the most straightforward for me. I have Winnipeg 1 very clearly. I put the Avs at 2 and Dallas at 3. When you look at Ottinger, his last couple of years have been fine, but nothing particularly special. And at least this regular season since joining Colorado, Blackwood has, in my opinion, clearly been better.
Yeah, I think the problem I have is that we haven't seen Mackenzie Blackwood in the postseason, which it's just a
I
thing.
get it. I understand that. Yeah.
Look at Connor Hellebuck in the postseason. He goes from being the world's best goaltender, hands down, to he gave up I don't know, approximately 600 goals in 5 games to the Avs last year. Like, it was hard to watch from people who aren't.
I get it. I agree. It's also why I said we're ranking them today.
Yeah, and it's just, if you look at 3 of the 4 postseasons for Ottinger, or sorry, 2 of the 3 postseasons for Ottinger, they've been really good.
Yep.
So that's
true.
That's like the only thing that I would say. But yeah, Blackwood is having absolutely a better season behind the Avalanche than Ottinger is having in Dallas. It's just, I think, yeah, that's my only question mark. If you, and to be honest with you, I would not have a major objection if you wanted to rank. It has to be Hellebuck at 1, despite the postseason stuff.
No doubt about that.
Because of these guys, there isn't one who has had like long track record of
He's
excellence.
About to win back-to-back Vezinas. Like, come on.
Yeah, like Connor Hellebuck is back-to-back Vezinas, and he's one of the best goaltenders of this generation, if not the best goaltender of this generation, right next to Andrei Vasilevsky. Like, come on. But I think you can have a reasonable conversation. I would say, just based on what we've seen, Ottinger should be 2 and then Blackwood 3. But in terms of who's playing better this year, it is Blackwood.
Yeah, I agree. I'll second that. I'm a big Mackenzie fan. He's on Game Time all the time. I'm sorry. He shows up. He's a gamer. That's what we were trying to say there. Mackenzie Blackwood's a gamer. Yeah, no, I do believe that. Chat's talking about experience. Yeah, you know what? I'm not worried about a goaltender's experience. Somebody said, "Wow, absolutely." Patty Waugh came in that year as a 19-year-old, won the Stanley Cup. Yes, yeah, it does happen. Not worried about it. But Patty Waugh the year before did the same thing as well, which people don't know, because why would you if you weren't born or following the Montreal Canadiens at the time? But he comes in from, I believe, like an eight win season in Granby, and goes in the American League. And back then they had to make sure that they told those goalies that they were sick. You're sick because you couldn't play, right? Because only under emergency reasons. So Patty Waugh did play, ran the table, and won the Calder Cup. With the Sherbrooke Canadiens. So yeah, so he was a playoff battle tested, so to speak. Like the year before as a teenager. So, and I'm not saying Mackenzie's not battle tested. I'm saying he's not battle tested, but I'm not worried about it. Do I think he's going to do well? Yes. Do I like him? I think he's outstanding. And that's not a knock on Ottinger. I've seen Ottinger go look no further than, oh man, the late Johnny Gaudreau scores that goal there, right, in overtime. What a performance he put on that night. It should have been 28-0 for Calgary that game. You know what I mean? And so he can do it. He's a good goalie. He was okay last year. So I'm not worried about the non-experience, but I think you're right. You have to put, like him or not, you have to put Hellebuck at 1 right now, to Rudo's question, because he has been the most dominant goalie, probably with Vasilevsky, right, this past decade or so in the National Hockey League.
Okay, let's move on to the D-cores and rank those then. This one is a little bit more complicated. Yeah, great, love that. Dallas, with Heiskanen, obviously has a noticeably better defense. Without Heiskanen, I don't think it's very difficult to say Colorado's is significantly better. So I don't really know how you balance that. And then Winnipeg's defense is solid. Like, I don't have any problems with their defense, but I do think certainly the Avs have a higher ceiling on their defense. But where do you rank these 3?
It's all three have the same problem in that at the top of their defenses, they're fine. You're comfortable. I will assume Heiskanen is healthy for the postseason because I just have a hard time believing that they're not going to throw him out there even if he's at 40% health. They're going to be like, get out there. And
They
then they're
need him
going to
that
give him the
bad.
world's greatest drug so that he can't feel anything for 3 hours. So, like I'm just, I will assume Heiskanen is there, but if you look at the top, Taves, Makar, Gerard, solid. Top line pairing, unassailable top pairing for the Avs there. And then Gerard is a good second pairing guy. I know a decent chunk of our listeners are going to hate me saying that. You're just wrong. He's a solid second pairing guy.
Yes.
You look at the top of Dallas, Lindell, Heiskanen, Harley. That's a really good top three. You're fine there. And then the top of Winnipeg's defense is kind of the same. Morrissey, DeMello, and Dylan Sandberg. Dylan Sandberg's one of my favorite underrated defensemen in the NHL. That guy is good.
Yeah, I like him.
Where I struggle, Neil Pionk and Josh Manson have the same problems for me. They are both dumbasses at the strangest of times. And when they make mistakes, they make huge mistakes. They make the big one, the whopper of a mistake. And then the bottom pairing D, they keep playing Logan Stanley. If they take Logan Stanley out and they go with a Luke Shen, Colin Miller, I like Winnipeg's decor. It's solid. It is solid and boring. Playing Hayden Fleury as much as they have, I mean, it's not great. I don't know why they won't play Billy Hanela. It's fine, but yeah, I don't have any real problems with Winnipeg's defense other than they continue to play Logan Stanley, who gets abused. So if they didn't do that, I would say I like Winnipeg's the most, but with Logan Stanley in that lineup, I would put them just a tick below Colorado's because I'm buying stock in Ryan Lindgren as an F. I'm buying stock. I've gone through. I've watched every shift he has played as an Av, and
Certainly the defensive zone has been solid.
The defensive zone is where I've really kept an eye. I don't think that this Lindgren-Manson thing can continue because they have serious puck management issues together. But you watch what Lindgren does in his own zone there, and he is as advertised. He's a warrior. He's fit in nicely, and he still doesn't totally know what he's doing yet. So when he settles in a little bit more, I'm going to like it. But I'm also buying stock that the improved competition, as Eric loves this point, the improved competition is going to help Sam Malinsky find the best in his game on a consistent basis. I think having Eric Johnson around as the veteran to kind of pick him up and build him up and be a trusted veteran. He didn't have that before. He had a little bit more of a toxic environment. And now he's got Eric Johnson there to really kind of be like, hey, kid, here's how you do it. Here's what you do. Here's your approach. Here's how to do this in this league. Here's what you want to be. And when we have seen Sam Malinsky at his best, he's been an impact player. And that to me, I think is a big deal. And the bottom of Dallas's defense, we've talked about it. It sucks. Yeah. It just sucks.
It's bad.
And if there's no Miro Heiskanen, it's in a really big problem. They have a really big problem. And with the Heiskanen, even a physically compromised one, you still have a pretty sizable issue. But we know that teams will bury those. Yeah, we know teams will bury those guys.
I love the Malinsky comment. A little bit of iron sharpens iron, but the insulation, EJ, a little bit of the quench bucket when you're forging that sword. On Lindgren, very quickly here, I think the thing that has impressed me most, look, you knew you got Lindgren to go to be a physical presence. He's done a good job of being physical and being strong net front and things like that. But where he's impressed me is he's fit into the Avs defensive system of, generally speaking, their objective is to prevent pucks from getting to the dangerous areas in the first place. And he's been really good, especially on things like odd man rushes. He's breaking up plays before that opportunity presents itself. So I think he deserves a lot of credit there. AJ, I want to get your rankings and I want to hear from E2, but first we do have to pay a couple more bills. So let's hit those very quickly before our ranks, as, of course, one of our favorites and the presenting sponsor of this show is Bet Bet365. You can jump in with Bet365 today with the DNVR 365 code. Put $10 in your account, bet $5 on anything, win or lose. You will get $150 in bonus bets thanks to Bet365, and it gets even better. They have tons of amazing offers, including the NHL early payout option. Bet365 will give you a win on a bet if you bet on an NHL team to win and they get a 3-goal lead at any time. They don't even have to actually win the game. If you get a 3-goal lead, they pay out your bet. Even if it's part of a parlay section, it gets marked as a win. So jump in with Bet365 today. Get that money in there. Use the DNVR code and get $150 to play with just to have fun. Of course, the $150 in bonus bets are given to you, win or lose, on that $5 bet when you use the DNVR 365 code. Bonus bets, of course, can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And of course, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. Of course, terms and conditions apply. And if you win a little bit of money over at Bet365, it's always time to go get a little snack, all right? It's not really a snack. It's like a full meal if you get over to Raising Cane's. But with St. Patrick's Day right around the corner, Cane's is bringing back their Leprechaun Lemonade. So make sure you get in. It's the same freshly squeezed lemonade you love, but it's green now, St. Patrick's style. You can cater your upcoming St. Patrick's Day party with jugs of it. You can get yourself a bunch of delicious hand-battered chicken fingers from Raising Cane's. They've got meal boxes, whatever you need. Raising Cane's has you covered. They might not make you lucky, but they will make you more festive at the very least. Enjoy their classic hand-squeezed lemonade. Get in with Raising Cane's, of course, the amazing sauce and everything else they have to offer. For a limited time now, you can celebrate with those jugs of Leprechaun Lemonade and hot, delicious chicken finger meals. Again, you can get catering online at RaisingCanes.com or through their mobile app, Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, one love. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. I need a 1-2-3 rank.
What is a fuller meal, Rudo? Raising Cane's or
Okay.
you with that beard?
Ooh, probably Raising Cane's. All right.
I don't know, buddy.
Beard's pretty wiry.
Beard's
I'm not gonna
popular.
lie.
The beard. I think you could probably hide your Raising Cane's in at this point.
I could fit a chicken finger in there for sure. One chicken finger, probably.
Yeah, my man. We honestly should test this. Should do this during a watch along.
The sauce is different color, though. Sauce is different color.
Oh boy.
Can't hide the sauce in there.
Yeah, that would be tough.
Can I just give you quick numbers real quick? Just really
Yeah,
fast on Ryan Lindgren. So just out of curiosity, I went and checked his 5v5 per 60 rates, compared it to the rest of his career. Obviously, it is 5 games. So let's just be cool about this. And 2 of those games are against Chicago and San Jose. So I understand context here. But the scoring chances against and high danger chances against per 60 are the lowest of his career in those 5 games. By a ton, by the way. By a ton. Significantly lower than any of his time when he was playing on a top pairing with the Rangers. So early returns here are encouraging about him in the defensive zone. He needs to be on the ice with some more offensive talent because some of those numbers are bad. But he's not that guy. He's never going to be that guy. That's not what he was brought in to do. If you're asking me to rank them, I'm going to go Colorado, Winnipeg, Dallas.
That's, I think, what I would have him. E, you got a rebuttal or are you agreeing?
What did he say? Colorado, Winnipeg, Dallas?
Yep.
That's mine, too. I'd love to argue with AJ because I do love to argue him, but I can't.
All right. I'm glad we agree at very least. Third category, the forwards. We've kind of talked about this a good bit with Dallas at least, and certainly with Mikko there. Their forward core is really, really good. You do like the Avs at center. I'll give you the floor on this one since AJ took the D. Where do you see these 3 forward cores? How do you rank them?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still. I got to go back to Dallas here because I don't see it as much as everybody else sees it. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm saying, and I know Rube Hintz, last game wasn't there, but yeah, I mean, I can see it. There's just a couple guys in there that I'm not a fan of, and that's it. That will never change. but third, fourth line, I'm not so sure. I mean, man, all right, I'm gonna bash it. I mean, screw it. I'm not that much in love as everybody else is their forward core in Dallas. I don't believe they're between those
What
three
don't you
teams
like about it?
are their num. Well, first of all, I don't. I'm God, I wasn't that type of player, but I was privileged to play with the Sakic's and Forsberg, and now to see the McKinnons and obviously Miko that was here. But uh, I love top end guys. I love the cream of the cream. I don't believe there's really. Uh, and again, Miko just got there, so it changes things. I was going to say there's no superstar. Miko's a superstar. Let's not kid. I've been saying this so many
Yeah.
times on the pod. The three best players. I just don't know how he's going to react with those guys or how he's going to play with those guys. Obviously, it's been a good start. It's been a couple games. You just said don't panic with Ryan Lindgren. I know it's 5 games. Well, it's only been 2 games. Who knows how it's going to go for Miko there. But I don't believe they have the McKinnon effect, you know what I mean? And where a guy takes over a series or a game, and I don't think they have that guy. You know what I mean? And that's where I draw the line. And I really love the Avs post deadline on the third, fourth line right now. And am I biased? Maybe. So I still give the Avalanche the nod. I'm going Avs 1, Dallas 2. Because yes, you can't deny it, and then obviously Winnipeg 3. Winnipeg, I believe, is more built from the opposite side, right? The back end, the goaltending, and obviously Scheifele's a good player, but we always talk about what's his name there, 81. Good players. And same thing with Dallas. I just don't think they have. McKinnon puts it over the edge for me. He just does. I think he's giving me the reason to with the last couple. Obviously, the career he's had, but the last couple seasons especially.
Yeah, their leading point getter is Mikko Rantanen. Cool trade, but when you look at that lineup, they don't have anyone to the caliber of McKinnon. And don't get me wrong, Jason Robertson having a great year, Matt Duchene having a great year, Ryan Johnson having a really good year. But when you look at that and then you look at someone like the Avs lineup, yes, the Avs lineup has dealt with a lot of injuries this year. But you look at Martin Necas, a point-per-game player. You look at Val Nichushkin, a near point-per-game player. You look at Jonathan Drouin, a near point-per-game player. That production from Dallas's forward core really doesn't look any better and probably a bit worse than the Avs production, even with Mikko in that lineup.
Yeah, I would say if you go line by line on it, I think the gap closes because if you start at the top line, you go Lehkonen, McKinnon, Necas versus Robertson, Hintz, Rantanen. That's advantage Colorado, but that's a really good line for Dallas. So I would say advantage Colorado. I don't know that I would say it's a giant advantage. With Rantanen, it's not a giant advantage. Without Rantanen, it was.
It is.
And then you go in that second line though, and Colorado with Nichushkin, Nelson, and I already forgot his name, poor Jonathan Drouin. So that's
he was bad the other night, to be fair,
dude. So really good second line, right? Like that line is exciting, and then I imagine that they will probably go back to the Mason Marchment, Matt Duchene, Tyler Seguin line. That was
third line's where it get tough for the Avs.
Obscenely effective.
Yeah.
I think that's still advantage Colorado, but I think it's closer because that line together at the start of the year was awesome. It was really, really, really
Sagan's
good.
Coming back for sure.
Do not. He's secretly skating, not at the Stars practice facility. He's skating on his own in Dallas, away from the cameras. Sounds familiar. But then you get into that third line. You go Kivi Ranta, Ross Colton, and Charlie Coyle, and you're like, all right, this is a competitive third line. But is that Jamie Benn and Wyatt Johnston and Mikhail Granlund good? No. Come on, stop.
Maybe if Gabe Landeskog's playing on that line.
If there's Gabe Landeskog for game 1, sure, I'll give it to the Avs. But when Gabe Landeskog retires before game 2, I'm giving it back to Dallas.
Yeah.
Because it's just not, right? Like that's really, really impressive depth in the top 9. And then your fourth lines, I think it's easily Dallas, but it's like Dadonov, Sam Steele, Maverick Bourque, Colin Blackwell, like those guys, like, okay. And then it kind of just depends how I feel about Colorado's fourth line, depending on the alignment that day. Jimmy Vesey, sure, I'm interested. Jack Drury, I love. Logan O'Connor, I love. On your fourth line, I love those two guys. That's really competitive.
It,
That last guy, Jimmy Vesey, Parker Kelly, sure, sign me up. But if they put in Miles Wood, I'm going to be mad.
yeah, I mean, the most straightforward thing is you put Parker Kelly with LOC and Drury, and you say, our fourth line, nothing happens. We want nothing to happen when this line is on the ice.
And nothing will.
Yeah.
I say nothing well, but I'm telling you, man, this Jack Drury, I love this guy. He one play every game, one play where I'm like, what is this? Where did this come from? Where is this offense? He creates something on the offensive end every single game. One play every single game. Doesn't usually go in because come on, it's hockey. But he's sneaky good. I like this guy. But I still think that Dallas, that third line for me is a really big feather in their cap. Although laying it out like that line by line really does make me feel I'm closer to Eric than when I started talking.
All right, hear me out. Jack Drury is Matt Nieto, but a center.
No, better finishing.
Not in his career. Better finishing this year.
I understand what it looked like in Carolina. I get it, but nobody has finishing there. They've ruined Andrei Svechnikov. Ruined.
It's the fishy towels. It's the fishy towels in the locker room. I told you guys. It just puts a spell on the guys.
I need a 1, 2, 3, boys.
Nieto had a better mustache. That's
true. That's true. That's definitely true.
And a cooler story. And I love Nietzsche. He was such a dude.
No, it's a great story.
I mean, look, I think for my money, I'm going to go Colorado. I'm going to go Dallas, Colorado, Winnipeg, and Winnipeg by a wide margin there at 3.
I think I'm with E on this one. I think Colorado's 1. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going Colorado 1, Dallas 2, and yes, you're right, Winnipeg 3.
Yeah, I think that's pretty clear. I had a fourth category. Honestly, E, you kind of answered it in that one. I was going to make the superstars the fourth category because the reality is the Avs' biggest weapon is they have Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar. Nobody else in the West has those two guys.
This is where I love that they're built, again, 1.0, 2.0. They're built on superstars. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. They're the best of the best. They do take you over the edge. Help the depth will help you win. Those guys will make you win. Now, when you have that and you waste it, again, I'm not here to, I'll use it again, peel the onion of the Edmonton Oilers. But for so many years they're saying, oh, Draisaitl, McDavid, but they have no goalie. You know what I mean? And that's been true. Again, last year, Skinner ended up going all the way to Game 7. But, you can say what you want about him, like him, don't like him. There's a question mark there. I just do believe that this year, the Avalanche, there was a giant question mark in that last year. Yes, I'll say it. I was one of them. I don't believe there's a question mark this year, especially with their tandem. I'm not saying that Wedgie's going to play. I'm saying you feel secure, you feel good, you feel that, they're in it together. And you mix that to the superstar level of the Avalanche, which is pretty high. Boy, oh boy, that gives you an advantage. And it sure does. And I lived it. I love seeing it right now, and I believe in it. I believe in superstardom, not because, I was one by any means. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying
you were pretty close.
Very close. But those guys are, and when you have the right ones, and we have the right ones in Colorado, and we had the right ones in Colorado back then. We've been lucky since basically, pretty much the inception of the franchise, right? You know what I mean? Of in 95, 96 when it came from Quebec. There might be a few years there we were thin and young and, you know what I mean? But that sentiment depth was sick back then. I mean, Stastny, O'Reilly, Duchesne. I mean, man, that should have been, very good once they got, older. It just obviously got dismantled a little bit. But I love the superstar. factor. I believe in it, and that's where Colorado's won right now. And you can't compare the other two if you're gonna rank. If you're gonna rank them,
Yeah,
I think
they're
it's just
covering
one.
for sure.
The last team to win a Stanley Cup without a superstar would have been 2019 St. Louis.
St. Louis.
Which,
True.
by the way, another example of a goaltender with no playoff experience going on a deep
Yep.
run. So
Yeah. I'm not
Anybody
worried
can
about
get
this.
wicked hot in goal at the right time, man. Anybody can.
yeah, which is always like, remember last year Vancouver was competitive with Arturs Shilovs in net, and now the guy's a total lemon, right? Like
Yep.
the playoff, the weird things happen in the postseason with goalies, okay? But I think when you are looking at these forward cores, a couple of caveats for my ranking. Landeskog is back. Colorado is 1. No Landeskog, no Sagan. Colorado was 1.
So
But
even
no
in the
Landeskog with Sagan,
scenario
it's
where
still
they're
Dallas.
2, it's close.
It is. I think it's absolutely close. And I think you look at last year. Last year's matchup was war. Remember? And that's with Dallas got a freebie game in Game 4 because the Nichushkin news broke
Yeah.
like 90 minutes before puck drop. We were all at the bar getting ready for the game when that news dropped, and then Devon Taves missed
It's
that
sick.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Big
got
one.
a free game, right? Just got a free game in that
Yep.
series, and that series was warfare. And Colorado's second line was Casey Middlestat and Zach
Yep.
Parise.
And
And you're
it
talking about
still
going
took
from that to Brock Nelson, Jonathan Drouin, and Val Nichushkin. Like, there's a big, big, big difference. I mean that literally and figuratively, because Colorado supersized their forward lineup while not taking away from the skill and the speed.
and it still took double overtime of Game 6 for Dallas to get that done. And the Avs certainly have more offensive firepower, you feel, today than they did in that series, assuming nonsense doesn't happen again.
Mm-hmm.
I
agree.
I do want to shift gears a little bit here because there is definitely a chance that the Avs end up in the first wild card spot and end up playing in the Pacific side of the bracket. So I do want to take a look at Vegas and Edmonton. We don't have to go quite as in depth because I think it's fairly likely the Avs hang on to the 3rd seed and end up playing Dallas, but it could not happen that way. Edmonton is pretty straightforward. They're the same team they've been for a long time now. Obviously, they went to the Cup final, nearly won it last year, but it sure seems like things have caught up with Stuart Skinner for Edmonton.
Yeah, shout out to my guy Dmitry Filipovich, who I listened to his PDO cast while I was driving to get my girlfriend flowers today. And P.S. If you're getting red roses, get them from Ecuador. They are beautiful. That aside, they were talking. He had Kevin Woodley on his show earlier this week, and they talked a lot about Stuart Skinner and his struggles. And Edmonton's rush defense, horrible. And that exacerbates Skinner's biggest flaw in his game, which is his lateral movement. And if that doesn't get turned around, they're cooked. They're just done. They'll still get through LA because LA can't score. They have no rush offense. They have no
Kuzmenko ain't
in zone
fixing
offense.
that. Yeah.
They just don't score goals. So great. There's no real competition there. But when they get through LA, they're going to have a much harder time after that, because that defense, once again, Matthias Ekholm's 35. He's slowing down. And Darnell Nurse is like a really highly paid, more skilled Josh Manson in my mind. And, I really like Brett Kulak. I really like Ty Emberson. Getting Jake Wallman is a fun addition for their defense, but I just don't feel great about their ability to protect the house at all. And Stuart Skinner needs a lot of help. He's not a goalie that's going to steal you any kind of games. And we're back to feeling like they going into the postseason. You look at the top 7 teams in the West right now. They're 7th in goaltending. That's the goaltender that you have the least confidence in.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue. Yeah, I'm not going to argue about Skinner. I like the story about him. I like he's from Edmonton, and he gets a lot of crap. He does. But he, again, he's a goalie in the National Hockey League. Do I believe that they needed to do something about it? Yes, I would say yes. They should have done something. It didn't. They didn't. Maybe it didn't happen. It wasn't on the table. I'm not sure. But he also went to the Cup Finals last year. So, and there's a reason for that, which leads me to point number 2 is superstardom, right? We're talking about superstardom.
They got superstars for sure.
McDavid, that's why I'm like, okay. Now, right, on the Central, you can't compare it. If you're going down that route, the wild card route, and you end up with an Edmonton, well, there's a superstar factor there. I mean, Draisaitl, everyone knows McDavid. Everyone should know Draisaitl. Again, leading the league in goals this year, that is something that scares me, because if they decide to get hot, and who cares about your goaltending, you can get by. Now, can you get by all the way in 4 rounds? Doesn't look like it. Didn't work last year. Almost. But can you do that on the first round as a first round opponent? That's where I would have my, a little bit worry, with that superstar, factor that they can.
It matters.
Hey, I'll be better. I'll be better than McCarr and McKinnon. Come on, Leon, let's do it. Let's be better than those two. Who knows what can happen, after that. So that would be, for me, a factor that, would scare me a little bit. Absolutely.
Well, there's a pretty good chance if the Avs are playing Edmonton, it's in a conference final. So some things have gone right there. Now, if the Avs do end up in the wild card spot, their first round opponent would almost certainly be Vegas. Vegas had a lot of question marks around it coming into this season, and they've performed exceptionally well. I'm still not really sure what to make of this team heading into the playoffs. They go out and get Riley Smith at the deadline, bring a guy back. I don't know. What do you think?
I think Vegas and Edmonton kind of suck on the wing.
Kind of.
And there's a lot, I think I like Vegas's roster more than I like the results that they've put on the ice. But they were way, way overrated early in the season, and then they caught fire and they started playing fantastic defense. But and adding Riley Smith and Brandon Saad, I think, has really helped them. But there's something about Vegas that just feels like it's not clicking this year. They're leading a division because their division isn't good.
Yeah, the Pacific's
That's
bad.
the only reason.
Look, if we're talking about suspect goaltending, it's true of Vegas too. Aiden Hill is just okay this year, and Samsonov backing up is bad.
Yeah, I agree. But they've won, and that's a factor that scares me. They won, what is it, a year ago or whatever? After the Avs. Yeah. They got a legit number 1 guy in Eichel. Goaltending doesn't scare me. You're right, absolutely right. We'll see. And I know a lot of people talking about the Kings there. What scares me about the Kings is their home record is absolutely phenomenal. Oh my God, they don't lose at home, those guys. Every time you look, they win. So usually, you hope that carries. And I know everything goes out the window. It's the playoffs and everything. But, sometimes it does carry into the playoffs, your home record, and you feel good there. That's what would scare me about the LA Kings. Is their home record.
The conversation with LA is the same conversation you start having about the Avs if they lose to Dallas this year. LA just can't beat Edmonton. They can't do it.
Yeah.
Well,
no, you're right. That's what I mean. Yeah.
They can't score goals. Look at every other team that's going to be in the playoffs around them. They have the same number of goals right now as Minnesota. I know that there are some games played considerations, but you're talking about them being 30 goals behind all the other teams. They can't score. They're also 13-22 on the road. The big goal for you on the road is B500.
And they're about to be without home ice advantage in the first round.
Exactly. Like, they're staring down the barrel of, if they're in a dogfight right now for home ice with Edmonton. They need that because they can't win on the road and they can't score. So why am I not taking LA seriously? Their
leading
That's
scorer is
it.
Adrian Kempe with 53 points.
Yeah. That's just it.
Yeah.
It's the same formula that has lost them first round series against Edmonton. Right now, their likeliest matchup by far is Edmonton.
Yep.
And whether or not it's home or on the road, like, it's the same matchup, and they haven't gotten any better. They're the same hockey team. They can't score.
I'm with you.
I just don't. This isn't a team that scares me because they can't score goals. If you're not good at scoring on 5v5 and your special teams aren't special, that's pretty much it. That's congrats. You made the dance. They're a good, solid regular season team that is cannon fodder for the elite teams in the postseason. They'll be a hard out. It won't be fun. It won't be pretty. It will be miserable. They will lose. And that's just kind of it.
This story has played itself out 3 years in a row. All right, they're a solid team, but they don't have the high end. And what happens when Connor McDavid punches you in the mouth? You don't have an answer.
Yeah. Bang on.
So I don't know.
could say they can't score a few more times if it would help. I mean,
it is what it is on that front. Let me ask you guys this. Who's scarier coming out of the Pacific, Vegas or Edmonton?
I think Edmonton, because if Edmonton gets to that point, it means their defense locked in, and that's much scarier.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick Vegas. Just because I like their pedigree. I like that they've won. I know there's been a lot of turnover, but there's a lot of guys, and they've shored up a couple guys too that can be dangerous in playoff situations, and they went and got some guys that have won before. For example, Saad didn't win in Vegas, but he won in obviously Chicago. I don't know. I mean, my answer would be probably Vegas. You know what I mean? Because it's Vegas, and everybody likes to hate on them. It's been like that since day one. So I'll take them.
Yeah, look, I don't think there's a lot of separation between the two in my mind, for the record. I just think that they have different problems.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm here for the revenge gauntlet. It's going to take some doing because Minnesota would have to collapse into the second wild card. But you go Dallas round 1, Minnesota round 2, Vegas round 3, and just beat all the teams that beat you in the playoffs.
Yeah. There you go. I like that. Smart.
And then the Avs don't lose the teams from the East in the playoffs, so there's nothing there really.
Pretty good history there.
Never have.
They can beat a Florida team in the finals again. How about that?
Never lost.
Dude, these versions of Colorado and Florida would be a nasty cup final.
It'd be a banger for sure. Okay, very quickly, we are going to head into overtime. If you're watching through television or one of those services, the conversation will continue online over at thednvr.com. So make sure you're joining us there. Come hang out with chat, shout out to them, and all of that good stuff. We appreciate all y'all hanging out. As a couple of final thoughts I want to get from you guys here. We've talked a lot about assuming health and things like that. And to me, this is kind of the wild card factor of the playoffs. The Avs obviously have been very injured for very many years here. That's not what I'm interested in. What I'm curious is, how well do you think these teams can play through injuries? Because we've seen the Avs do it year after year. Yes, they're injured a lot, but when it comes to the playoffs, They have guys that know how to play hurt. They have guys that know how to play through it. Do you think that's something that the Avs are? Is it a little thing in their back pocket, I guess, is what I'm asking, is they know the score when it comes to that?
I mean, if that was the case, then losing Val Nichushkin in the postseason each of the last 2 years wouldn't have derailed them, right? I know he's like a special case, but...
Yeah, that's a little different, but...
Yeah, I think it helps, and I think that it's... Sure, it's different than you look at, like right now, the adversity that Minnesota is going through is going to help them come postseason time. If something happens to that roster, then they can lean back on this experience. That's not a very good team. Like, there's not a lot of talent there. They're not great. And you saw the way that they played the Avs last night. Like, they went toe to toe, and granted, there are a lot of caveats to that. But no Kaprizov and no Eriksson Ek, the Avs shouldn't have lost that game. The Avs lost both games this year to Minnesota when they had a huge lineup advantage. And that sucks. But, 3 and 4 back-to-back, blah, 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 blah. But I think that experience serves Minnesota well. I think it serves Colorado well. And it's exactly what was my point way back at the beginning of this conversation when I said it worries me when a team like Winnipeg doesn't go through serious adversity in a regular season.
I agree, and you need to get smacked around. You do, because you think your crap don't stink when you're feeling good about yourself and everything. So I do believe you need to get smacked around. Just like inside a game, you need to get punched in the face at times. We all know that, and then it's how you punch back, right? But hopefully the Avs learn some lessons. You mentioned, Val there. Hopefully they learn some lessons, maybe do things differently a little bit, for Val and for the team, and, just to, kind of help them out through those situations there. And, I'm sure they're going to put their best foot forward. And, I think their group's tight. I think with the EJ coming back and things like that, it's going to really make a big difference there to make sure that everything's going well. And when things aren't going well, because they won't go always on four wheels, you're going to get a flat tire somewhere, that you're not panicking, and history serves you well a little bit, and then you learn from it, and you go back and those experiences and move forward.
Well, we can pontificate about it all we want, but before we get to the playoffs, the Avs play Dallas this weekend. They play LA twice before the end of the season, and they play Vegas once in that stretch too. So we might get a couple of mini playoff previews for Colorado, and what do you take out of those? Up to you. But we're going to see some of these teams go head-to-head.
Yeah, I mean, Sunday is a lot more about Mikko Rantanen than a playoff preview.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
That's
for sure.
That's going to be an emotionally charged atmosphere just because of how all this has happened.
I was giving
little birdie told me. Yeah. Little birdie told me we might go record a video about that after this podcast, so you have to check that one out on our YouTube channel. That's all I had for today, boys. Anything else you guys want to add, or should we get out of here?
All right.
I mean, I could continue talking about this for 3 hours, but yeah, we're fine.
There you go. The new Mac 1K shirt. Only 100 players have ever done it. Only 16 have done it before their 30th birthday, and only one has had to score their 1,000th point twice. Nathan McKinnon. Go buy the shirt. We are out of here for today, though. We appreciate all y'all hanging out with us in chat, always having a good time. We are off tomorrow, but we'll be back for the game Friday, so be sure to tune in to that. It's been fun. Go check out the Die Hard stuff. We appreciate y'all, and we'll see you on Friday.
We all silly like the mayor.